What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Just Be Real podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Tonge, and today I'm joined by the beautiful, the Dominicana,
keep them coming.
the social media queen, the iconic,
all of it.
the girl who has helped me with my social media this year.
Tell 'em.
Like the beautiful Vanessa Contreras.
Oh, thank you. And you pronounced my last name like properly. Seriously, Contreras. I'm so happy to be here, boo. I'm so proud of you and like everything that you're doing with the podcast.
Thank you.
And if you haven't been tuning into Marissa's podcast, what are you even doing?
What are y'all doing?
All right, well, they're going to start today.
Well, tell them about yourself. Who are you?
Okay, so I'm Vanessa Contreras. I'm a talk show host, social media strategist, influencer, content creator, the social media bestie you didn't realize you needed. And I established my business formally as a creative agency 3 years ago. And I've been an influencer / blogger and building my personal brand for almost 10 years now. 2024 will be 10 years since I started my fashion blog.
That's dope.
So I'm excited
amazing.
for what's to come next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congrats on 10 years. That's
it's like
dope.
crazy.
Time flies. We're old. Let me not say that. Scratch that. Dig that out. We're not old. We're living.
We are flourishing in our best era ever is what I would say. Like,
agreed.
Especially even being here, it's like there's all these things that we've always known we wanted to do, or we see other people do them, and like this is the era where it's like I'm just gonna do it.
Facts.
Like everything that we come up with now is just like I'm just gonna do it.
It's action time.
Oh, it's 1,000%
action time. And it's crazy. We're going to talk today about, before, like, I know y'all are probably like, what are we talking about here? But we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and the struggles of it, the ugly side of it, also the beauty of it, like the perks of it and all that. But I feel like right now, and you could tell me if you agree, I feel like I'm in like a harnessing season. Like, I'm just like, I'm planning, I'm re-energizing. I'm kind of like getting my shit together for next year and trying to figure out like where am I going next.
Yeah, and I think for you, like having these have been like the months where you're a full-time entrepreneur. Like there's one thing when you like work for someone else and you have an entrepreneurial spirit and like you still have like endeavors as your side hustles or hobbies or projects that like create an income for you. But when you take that big leap and you're like, okay, this is how I eat, like that's another level of just brave. That's another level of, you know, seep what you grow, or like plant what's gonna grow or whatever. Like the sense of belief. And I hope we're definitely gonna touch into that, like self-belief, imposter syndrome. We talk about it all the time.
Imposter syndrome. I wrote that down.
And I feel like the very first thing that one needs to have when you're going to take the leap of faith is like, you just have to believe in yourself. And that's hard.
That's so hard. Like just waking up each day and number one, not only believing in yourself, but having the motivation and the drive to push yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't talk about like, you could have a circle, you could have people around you that like motivate you or inspire you or whatever, but like you have to do the work. You got to show up. Yeah.
And I would say, you know, I'm trying so hard to just get motivation like out of my vocabulary, because that's just such a feeling. Like it comes and it goes. Like you go on YouTube and you're like, you could just look it up. It's like motivational videos and it'll just give you a ton of different things. Or even right on here, right? Like finding a podcast or something where you like hear something and you're like, I'm gonna take over the world. And then you wake up the next day and it was like, what?
Right.
What? Maybe I need to listen
like
to that.
I said I was going to do that. Like when did I say I was going to do that?
And I'm just trying to instill discipline. Because when I think about the time in my life where I felt like on top of the world, it really goes back to when I was a dancer.
Yeah.
And I was in school, right? So it was like you go to school and then you go to dance class. Like you go to school, you go to dance class, you train for, you know, a performance or a show or a thing. Or even when I did beauty pageants was like a big one for me, because I worked full time, I went to school full time, and I knew that I had to train for like this event. Yeah. So now my mindset is just like, okay, what is the event? Like if I know that that's the way I function, it's like I need to create like events for myself. Like end of quarter one, like this is what needs to be like the grand event.
Facts.
So that I'm just like training and going, because I remember like I just knew I didn't want to be the girl that like wasn't fit, right? Or like the girl that wasn't prepared that moment on stage. So now I'm just trying to like create this space where it's like, okay, if I stay ready, I never need to get ready. So any projects that I want to launch, it's like, it's just happening. But I have to do the work.
Yeah.
And no one's there to be like, so are you in the mood today? Like, are we going to go through the checklist?
Nobody. Like, and can we talk a little bit about being in those phases? Like, we're going to get real. There's a lot that entrepreneurs don't talk about when it comes to like anxiety, depression, feeling overwhelmed, sometimes just feeling like you can't move. You can't do those things. Some days, like, you just want to stay in bed, and you're just like, that's when it comes in, and it's like, you got to push yourself. How do you manage to get out of those phases?
We've talked about this so many times off the pod.
Yeah.
So like, I love that we're talking about it on the pod. Mental health and entrepreneurship is like, it's okay, they go hand in hand, but like, really, your mental health, especially people like us, right? When you're a creative entrepreneur, and I mean, my mom says this to me all the time. She's like, you're your office. She's like, you have to take care of your body and you have to take care of your mind, or like, you won't be able to perform and do the things you need to do when you're a service-based business.
Yeah.
And it's hard in entrepreneurship in general, but when you're a service-based business, the way we are, like, you need to show up for your classes and you need to give the best energy so that people are like, I love this. And like, business keeps flowing and keeps coming, right? Like, for me, there's a million content creators. There's like all these different photographers and videographers and all these things. And what I've found is anyone can do it. Any area can be saturated, but you're one of one. So like, people are like, I like her energy, so they'll go with you each time. But the work that goes into being able to even have that energy mentally is just insane. So for me, I think I kind of go back to the basics. I just look back, and I think a lot of times with like when depression starts to hit and things like that, it's really because you feel like you're not being productive, and like there's all these things you want to do, and there's like all scattered in a wall, but like you aren't seeing the things you've already accomplished. So I kind of like to look back, and I did it recently because there's things that I know I want to launch that I still haven't launched. But I look back at this year and I'm like, wow, I remember when I used to joke about having help and like having assistants, and like now I have 2, right? Or it's like, oh, how many times I said, I wanted to speak at events, and it's like, I did 3 events, and one was even international,
That's
like
crazy.
There's things where right now in this moment, it feels like I'm not doing enough. But if there's one thing that I've learned in like business and entrepreneurship is like, when you feel lost, just go back to the basics.
Yes. And go back to gratitude, and go back to
$1,000,000%.
Giving yourself flowers, and going back, like she said, like reviewing your year, like reviewing and evaluation of your business and yourself and your health is so important, because it puts things into perspective. Like, just looking, I think you had asked me, you were like, are you going to do a recap? Like, you need to do a recap for the year. And I'm like, like we did a lot this year. We did a lot. And it's okay now to be in that season of like, okay, maybe I need a little rest. Maybe like I'm not going as hard this month for December. Maybe I'm just reserving my energy and kind of just, preparing for what's to come, but also reflecting.
And that's hard for people that are ambitious, because the thing with like being ambitious or like being an entrepreneur is like, there's always something you can be doing. Like, there's always something like a new project, or, something that you could be doing better. Or it's like, I said I was going to do that and I haven't done it yet. And like, when you pause, because I'm learning how important it is to like pause and rest, because I'm such a high productivity person. Like, I feel useless if I'm not doing something, but like, I'm having the conversation with myself more and more where it's like, okay, I am resting right now, which is productive for that hyper productive person that I am, because in order to have the energy that I need, in order to be great in all the spaces that I'm great, I need rest.
And where do you feel like that comes from? Like that, I guess, pressure. Do you feel like it's our upbringing of like being close to the city, like being in New York area, and like the hustle and the grind?
Yeah, I think 100%. I was actually in the city the other day, because when you work from home and like when you do things from home, like you don't really leave home too much. And I was in the city the other day, and I've done a lot of traveling this summer, and I'm in New York the other day, and I'm like, damn, everything is just going so fast here. Like, but I like love it, but I kind of hate it. But like, I love the thrill. Like, I kind of love chaos. There's like something about, but
You're
it's
a Scorpio.
also so, right. It's so unhealthy, dude. Like, I'm like, this is slightly toxic. It's like you're looking for. But I think for me too, it's also just like being an immigrant, like really coming from the Dominican Republic, and like my parents, like my dad just came here and he like from nothing and like built this entire life for us, where all that I have done, like the person I become, like the discipline with the dance and the pageants and the this and the that have been with the, like, has happened through the support of my parents. So now I feel like as an adult, God, I can't believe I'm a real adult.
Yeah, a real adult.
I feel like it's my responsibility to like even more, right? Like that's part of like breaking generational curses or like growing and like building generational wealth. And they've already built a foundation. So like the least I could do is like create the same for myself, for my legacy, and some. Just like continue to like grow and like understanding that, you know, I come from a family that was in this like third world country where honestly, like, it's a beautiful place. Like everyone thinks the Dominican Republic is like this third world. Like people are okay there. Like not everyone needs to leave there. Like our story went that way, and like we built nothing and turned it into something. And I feel the responsibility to like continue that.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. How do you feel about pivoting? Like I had talked a little bit on previous episodes about knowing and kind of like realizing when to pivot or when something isn't working out for you, maybe in your business or maybe just with a project that you're working on or something that you want to put out. When do you know it's time to pivot, and like what does that look like for you?
So I feel like I've pivoted a ton in becoming an entrepreneur. Like it initiates for me, wow, like maybe ages ago, I didn't even realize at the time that I was teaching Vixen that like that was a business. Like,
oh yes, we left that out. Vanessa used to teach Vixen workout.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
And that's how we met, actually.
That is how we
definitely
met.
left that out. But yeah, we were both teaching.
Yeah,
this was
Vixen.
like 2018, 2017.
Maybe it's 2017, yeah. So we've known each other some time, girl.
Yeah.
Even then, like for me, it was like, I love to dance and I love people, and it's like, but I'm not going to do it for free. So, but I didn't understand at the time, like that was an entrepreneurial like venture for me. Like there's so many things that have just been like fun and I'm good at it. And even sometimes now it's like pricing sometimes is still like a thing for me because it comes so easy and it's so fun, but I have to remember it's work. So I think for me, pivoting, I love that word pivoting. I've kind of just bumped into, you're silly. I've bumped into so many things that just turn into other things. Like even my creative agency, it was off the strength that I was doing network marketing. And a lot of people feel indifferent about that industry, but it's a great industry for someone that just... It's like it's a vehicle. I always say it's like a vehicle. Like it'll give you the tools that you need to understand what it's like to run a business without the business like actually being yours, because you're just like selling products or whatever the case may be. You're getting the
benefits of it.
So from there, it's like I knew that I was like selling these beauty products and it was going very well for me because I was already an influencer. But when I was like growing my team, right, which is such like an icky thing for people, but I created a space where it was a community. So if I was going to be this influencer that was bringing other people into this business, like I needed their social media to be in a great place as well. It's like, I'm not just going to leave you in limbo. Like, oh yeah, you got to figure it out the way I did. Yeah. So I started doing Zoom, like social media classes like weekly with my team because it was important for me that their brand's image is not that it be like mine, but that it be polished and that they were showing up well for themselves and learning how to do it themselves. So I'm like, how many people are not in this business that need these services? And like, that's really how my creative agency like became that, right? So like I was in this industry of like this influencer and like network marketing and like selling products and selling things online. And then I'm like, okay, well, by me training my people, this is introducing me to another business. And I just pivoted to like creating content for others, which I really enjoy because I just love helping people. So.
We enjoy it too.
Yeah. I'm glad. Thank you. Glad we need it. Thanks. It's so necessary.
I love that. So what advice would you give to creators, entrepreneurs, influencers who right now are struggling with just trying to do the most, like trying to run their Instagram, multiple Instagrams? Me, I'm the problem. Trying to run multiple Instagrams.
Asking for a friend?
Yeah, asking for a friend, anonymous. But yeah, running multiple Instagrams while trying to do the admin work, while trying to also show up for themselves, self-care, take care of their health, go to the gym, do all the things, right? Like
carry a social life.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I know like we talk about this a lot, like trying to balance and do all of that. Like, what advice would you give personally?
Something that's working for me, because I'm also that person, is just like, what's my story? Like, at the end of the day, it's like, why am I even doing what I'm doing, right? And like, people always say, it's like, what's your why? Like, start with why.
Yeah.
But no, like, really start with why.
Yeah, no,
start with why. Because when I haven't ever been like a big like journaling person or like putting, pen to paper, but I'm forcing myself to create the habit of that exercise, because when I see my thoughts on paper, it's like what's real and what's not, right? It's almost like when you go to therapy, like when you say the things in your mind out loud, it's like, what am I, what's sense. The real problem here? Like, what's really the problem here? Like, so it sounds like to me that I'm not managing my time wisely. Like, I know that's like a big thing for me, right? Like, I feel like things in my home are a little messy right now, like actually messy. Like my closet's a mess, like things like that are a mess. So things in my business are a mess. Like I haven't completed this or I haven't done that. And it's like, why? Like, what am I doing with my time? Like, am I scrolling? Am I consuming more than I'm creating? Am I frustrated with myself that I'm not getting to all these platforms because I don't have time? Do I really not have time? But I do, because I'm in good health. Like, number one, I'm in good health. Number one,
that's first.
Like, what's the real issue here? That I don't believe that I'm worthy of, like, consuming all this space in all these spaces? Like, that's not true. Yeah. So like, what's my story? Like, who am I? Like, why am I doing this? And like, what am I trying to gain from this? And like, what moments in all these things that I have to do I most enjoy? And the things that I don't enjoy, it's like, find people that are good at it. Find other people that enjoy it. Cause delegating, like we were talking before, like if I know that I'm not this like super admin organized human, like stop trying to be that. Yeah. That's not who I am. I am a creative. Like, I like to direct. I like to film. I like to create. I like to edit. What I'm good at, be good at what you're good at. And that's not to say that you're not gonna like work out those other muscles. Yeah. For sure. But I'm not going to bring my whole life down like I suck at everything because I'm not the best administrator.
And you can't do everything. I think like where we mess up as entrepreneurs is that like we think we have to do everything. We think that we have to be the social media manager, creating the actual content, being in front of the camera, doing other stuff, trying to sell products. Like you don't have to do everything at once. And you don't have to do everything. Like Vanessa said, what do you actually enjoy? What's your why? When you start doing a lot of things that you don't like, you don't enjoy, things that feel forceful, right? You feel forced to do it. A task. You feel like a task. Yeah, it feels like a task. That's when you start not enjoying your job at all. Like none of it. Because it takes the fun out of it. It takes the passion out of it. It takes a lot of your time, which is a huge thing. Like time is crazy.
Yeah. It goes by so fast. And I think, right, to just spread light on like what you're saying too is also remembering the things that I enjoy about what I've decided to do with my life. Like I know that there's moments that I get really frustrated, like finances are something that is like a trigger for me, right? Like when there's no stability or like things like that, because I do come from a home where like finances were stable. Like I did see that coming up, but it was because I had a father that worked really, 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 really hard. Same. So for me, it's like, okay, this entrepreneur thing, like 1 month is your best month ever. And then another month, it's not. Yeah. It's freaking not.
That's real.
But what do I enjoy most is like, I control my time.
Yes.
Right? Like time, we're here like, oh, time, do I have time? Like time goes by so quickly, but like we have full control of our time. And I remember the days when I worked for someone else, when I was working retail, when I was at a store, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like I should be like on YouTube and like editing a video and like doing all this stuff, but it's like, no, girl. So now that I have the privilege, because being an entrepreneur, it's also a privilege.
It is,
it's just like remembering the things that I love, that I don't have to ask someone for like time off. Like I don't have to ask permission at work, like to take travel, a vacation, to travel. Like, and also I think there's even a sense of guilt to it. Like I know for me, sometimes I feel guilty. Like my days are fun for the most part, even though they will be stressful. And like I see friends around me that are like, oh, so stressed with work, and I'm like, wait, shouldn't I be? Am I not working hard enough because I'm not stressed? Like when I feel peace, it's like it's so much mind work that goes into it, and it's like I chose this and they chose that.
Yes,
they chose that.
Yeah.
So there is kind of like a sense of guilt sometimes where, like, you know, people say like make sure you do what you love, and then when you're actually doing what you love, I'm like, this feels too good. Because you're so used to being an employee, and it was like, oh, like, you know, waking up for work, and it was just like this task and like this drag, and like you would get paid for it. I remember when I was like leaving my last job, I'm like, if I give my all today, I'm still getting paid my salary. And if I don't do shit, I'm also still getting paid my salary. And with entrepreneurship, like, that's
you ain't
not
nothing
the
if you don't
case.
do
That is not the case at all.
Nada.
But yeah, also just remembering like what you enjoy about it. And for me, it's like being able to do whatever I want.
Yeah, I love that. And that's, I think, the biggest motivation for most of us entrepreneurs, the freedom. Like
the time freedom anyway.
The time freedom, yeah, for sure. And of course, like she was talking about, like time management, like that's probably the hardest, like time management and discipline.
Yeah.
Just figuring out. And I think with us sometimes, like being creatives and wanting to do so much, it's hard to focus on one task. So something that I've been doing, I actually got it from an influencer on YouTube. I'll link her video, but she talks about like a big 3. So just focusing on like 3 big tasks for the day instead of trying to do like 10 million things, you know, just like 3 main things that I definitely want to get done today. It's a non-negotiable, like I need to get it done. So I've been trying to do that and it has helped, but you know, the brain just be like,
right. I think that's for me too. I know that focus is a challenge for me. So I have to really create like routine. Like I talk to myself like a child sometimes. It's like, okay, Vanessa, we're gonna wake up now. We're gonna have a good day. Come on. You can do it.
Yeah.
And I talk to myself like that a lot. And at first I was like, you're such a little bitch ass, right? Like I was so hard like on myself at first. I'm like, you know, boss girls do not, they get things done no matter what. Like you just have to like, and I'm like, girl, that was not, I've retired from hustle culture. Like, I can't even tell you. Like, I was almost president of the club. Like, literally. It's like, if you're not bending over backwards, breaking your head open, like, stressed, like, about to blow up, what are you even doing?
But it gets exhausting. Like, it honestly, and that's how you burn out quickly. Like, just work, get up, work. Like, you have to have some type of routine in the morning. Like, you can't just get up, like, even just getting on your phone in the morning. Like, I try so hard not to do that. I try. But it's hard because some days you are like, oh, I need to post this, or I need to do this, or I forgot I was supposed to post this last night and I didn't. But it's like, I've been asking myself, like, who cares? And also, who's checking for you? Who's checking literally that you didn't post?
Literally
nobody.
No one.
I mean, some people.
Sometimes.
Some people do be like, hey,
it's been a while. I know. But that's when you know you're doing something right. Because there's people, because you've been consistent. And something I want to say about you is, like, as much as there's still like a million things that you want to do, like, you find a way to be consistent, sis. Like, and I know you're really hard on yourself about
Thank you.
And I want to say, keep being hard on yourself. Because you're getting the job done. You're getting the job done.
Thank you.
But just don't burn out, because that fucking sucks.
Nah, that's why, like, vacation, self-care days. I took a day last week to just sleep in, like, and I felt bad about it, but then I was like, why do I feel bad? I'm tired. My body's tired. Like, I needed the sleep. So just listening to your body, listening to what you need, and not feeling bad, having a lot of grace. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I feel like entrepreneurship for me, there's been plenty of times where it comes with so much guilt. Like, all this guilt, it's just like, I don't, like, this is too much fun. Like, I'm having too much of a good time. But it's because I've decided to make a living off of the things that I love to do. So, like, it's this big psychological, like, rewiring. Especially when we come from all these years of, like, working for somebody else. And society and family and just life just teaches, like, that's what we're sculpted with. It's like, get an education, get a good job, get paid, get your, you know, your benefits, and then you, like, die. And that's it.
And that's it. And a lot of us are not settling for that anymore. Like, specifically millennials, Gen Z, like, we're not doing that. And I always knew, I'm like, 9 to 5 ain't for me. Like, this is just not, like, any job I had that was like that type of structure, I left. I was like, I can't do this. Like, and it's hard because you want the stability, you want that, you know, but it's so much more rewarding to do for yourself and to build something and create something that you know you built, and you have the control over your income, you have the control over your time, you have the control over what you put out, right? The team that you have, the people that work around you. Can we talk a little bit about building a team? Like how are you able to find people that fit your vision and
God.
company? Yeah.
Literally just Jesus.
I remember you said you prayed for me.
Yeah, I did. I've had, like, I've been really blessed with that part. Like, so sometimes I feel like guilty even giving advice on this part, but I think it's just manifesting. Like, truly, like, the first person on my team was my videographer, Nick. And when I tell you that, like, I literally tripped on Nick, like, tripped on him. It was like, who are you? And you're working with me now.
Yeah.
And then with my 2 creative assistants now, it was just like, I saw myself in a position where it's like, what do I need? Like, I look at my business and it's like, what do I need? And at the moment I needed more editors. So I literally just put a flyer out on Instagram and was like, I need editors. And that's also the power of like your network and building connections with people, because my creative assistants came off of like, my friend forwarded me your post. So it's not like they directly saw it. They knew someone who knew me that sees what I'm doing. And they're like, you should work with this girl. So it's also really important. Like, you can't do this alone. So like community is huge, and like entrepreneurs need to like stick together, or not even just entrepreneurs. It's like, be human to everyone. And I think a lot of times, like when you're an entrepreneur, like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, like 9-to-5ers, like I'm so not no. You need your 9-to-5 friends, because your 9-to-5 friends probably work with somebody that hates their 9-to-5, that is a creative, that they can connect you with. Facts. So like, I respect everyone and anyone and everything that they're doing, because I don't know like when they'll come in handy for my business. Facts. Or when they'll know somebody that knows somebody. So like, building my team has really just come off of like knowing somebody that knows somebody.
Facts. And that's how we got back in contact, and how Vanessa started doing some content for me. I think I posted something on Instagram, and then somebody sent it to you, and then you hit me up, and I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
So network is really important. Like when you're building a team, it's like, look around into your network, and it's just ask around. Like, do you know someone that like likes to hold a camera and like wants to learn? Most importantly, I think like building a team, especially as an entrepreneur, is like, who's willing to learn? Because I remember the days that I used to like do things for nothing, for pennies, or for again, literally nothing, but I just took it as like exposure and like, you know, as an internship and like learning, because I was put in a position to. So your network, like you're gonna build a team, but you need to have a network, so you have to be nice to people.
Yes, your network is directed to your net worth.
Period.
Okay. So I do want to ask you, I want to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome, because this is a big thing that it's real. It's a real life thing. And a lot of people might not know what it is. A lot of people have experienced it, but maybe they couldn't identify it. But imposter syndrome, can you explain a little bit what that is, and also how it's held you back in the past, or how it comes up for you every now and then?
Oh my goodness. It's come up so many more times that I enjoy, but I'm open to like speaking on it. But imposter syndrome is really when like you don't fully believe that you're capable of doing something that you're fully capable of doing. So like you create these scenarios or these excuses for why you shouldn't do something, and in the end you're just like constantly feeling upset or disappointed or depressed, like, or just like angry even, that you want to do these things but you don't know where to start or whatever. Again, it's just a bunch of excuses. But for me, I think it's happened for years and years and years. Like, I think especially lately as an entrepreneur, it's just like, you shouldn't be looking around at others, but a lot of times we spend more time consuming information than creating it. So like you're looking around at like this inspiration, right? And you're like, oh, I want to add this person to my mood board, or I like what they're doing. Maybe I could do something similar, but I don't have the camera equipment, or I don't have the experience that they have, or like what we all like need to understand is that whoever you admire, they started somewhere. So it's like, where are you going to start from? So like, where are you going to start so someone can admire what you're doing and say the same thing about you? Yeah. So I've just decided to just be super delusional.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, it's like my life and you only live once. Yes. And it's like everything that I want to do, like, or we feel like it needs to be this grand thing. I used to think that you know, in order for me to have success in like media and communications, like I had to be on like MTV or like BET or like VH1. I had to be like this talk show host or on Telemundo or Univision. And there's so many people that this is when I had to take a step back, and it's like, okay, do I want to be famous? Like what is it about that world that like I'm so intrigued, or do I want to be influential, right? Yeah. So I would prefer like creating my own platform as we're doing, and it takes, you know, day by day. Like there's so many people that are on YouTube and are on Instagram that are so much more influential to people than like celebrities.
Yes.
Because that I do know, like I never wanted, well, maybe younger. Like I know I don't want to be famous. I just know I want to be influential and like leave a legacy. So I just started redefining like what success was. And for me, it was like, as long as I'm happy and I'm doing what I love and I'm putting myself in a position where I can create content and just enjoy it and other people enjoy it, even if it isn't like around the world, this universal thing. It's like, not that I'm settling on my dreams, but I'm just starting somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. So. And I think it's more important to think about the number of people that you can directly impact rather than just having the numbers and the followers and the, you know, like the status. And I can definitely relate to that when, you know, just growing up, and I talked about it on a previous episode where we talked about imposter syndrome and me as a dancer and not growing up with like classical training and not being in dance class every single day, and then coming into this career that I always knew I wanted and kind of just having to deal with that imposter syndrome of like, I don't have the training. I'm not a real dancer. I'm not a professional dancer. And then when I did,
you're really good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that self-acceptance, like accepting yourself, building your confidence, realizing what you've done, like realizing your accomplishments and patting yourself on the back and being like, I'm still doing what I need to do. I'm still living my dream, regardless of how big I am right now. Like, and things can always change. There's still opportunities to come. We're young.
Yeah.
I know we said we're old, but we're not. We're young. Okay.
We're so young. But yeah, man, I think that's really well said. I think it's just important. Like, no one knows and no one cares. The thing is like, if you pick one thing and you're just like going for it and you're just doing it all the time, like people just start associating you with that. Like, oh, that's that girl. She teaches dance classes. Yeah. Like, oh, that's that social media girl. Like she does social media, but why? Because all I'm talking about and all I'm doing is social media. All you're talking about, all you're doing is like dance. No one's like, excuse me, can I see your resume?
Yes.
Like, can I see who you've performed with? Because I'm not going to take a class with you if you're not like so
facts. And it's your personal brand. I was watching a podcast last night and they were talking about like personal branding and what your personal brand and it's you. It's the way that you show up for yourself. It's the way that you promote what you're doing, the relationship that you have with your followers, right? The way that you present yourself, the things that you talk about. So I feel like personal brand is way more valuable and important than working for some big brand or trying to break out into some industry just so you can get your followers up or whatever. Yeah.
And I think having community that like constantly sort of like empowers you to do these things. Because I remember when I decided, I'm like, I really like, you know, people keep asking me like, can I help them create content? Can I do whatever? And I said to them, I've never, like, I don't have a portfolio. I don't have this. I don't have that. And one of my good friends in business, he looked at me like, I gave him a proposal. I'm like, these are my prices. He's like, this is a joke. He's like, literally like laughed in my face. And he's like, this is an absolute joke. I'm like, well, I have to start somewhere because who's going to pay me? I've never done this for people. He's like, your portfolio. He goes, you're Vanessa Contreras, and because you're Vanessa Contreras, like people fuck with you. Yes. People like you, and they know you're good at this. So someone somewhere, so fix your prices. Yeah. And for me, then I didn't get it at all. And there's moments now where sometimes I'm like, who is she? Like, so what? You know, like, who am I? And that's when imposter syndrome is like creeping in. Yes. And like, you have to switch on the delusion. And it's just like, be completely delusional where like, people will just have to believe you. Like when people think you're crazy, you're onto something. Facts. And if you haven't, I recommend this if you haven't read it already, but there's this book by the independent artist Russ. that's called like It's All in Your Head or something like that, and it's super short. Like the chapters are like 2 pages or something like that, which my ADD needs that.
Yeah.
And it was a great read. And something like that is like just being delusional. Like for him, he's like, you know, I was in my mom's basement making music, and like then it just popped one day, you know. But if he wouldn't have just kept going and just like been super delusional, then he wouldn't be where he is now.
Yeah, that's facts. Being delusional and having that knowing that I'm gonna get where I need to be. Like,
I don't know how.
I don't know how. I don't know when, but
or what.
Yeah. Like, remember The Little Mermaid? I don't know how. I don't know when. Yo, that's facts. I don't know how. I don't know when, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Whatever you want is going to happen. Whatever you're dreaming about, whatever you're focused on, wherever you're putting your energy, it's going to happen.
And circling back, like, it's just believing in yourself and, like, having faith. Like, just faith, genuinely having faith. And, like, I don't know how, but I'm just going to keep doing these things. And it's going to open a door. It's going to introduce me to someone. It's going to lead me somewhere. And just putting yourself in a position. I tell my clients and like I tell my team and like I've told people that I've worked with is like, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, fake it till you make it. But I believe you should just like make it until you make it. Like make it up until you actually make it. Because no one's going to ask if you're so passionate about something. They have no choice but to believe you. Facts. But you have to believe you first. Yeah. 1,000,000%.
Yeah, facts. This was amazing.
I needed my own advice today.
Yeah. Girl, that's what this podcast is, okay? Just sitting down and like reminding ourselves
let's
of
be
who
real.
we are. Let's be real. But also as we go through that process of like realizing what we need to do, reminding ourselves of who we are, like we're helping other people do that as well. So if you're watching, first of all, thank you so much for tuning into another episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe right now. Okay, stop playing around. And if you guys are on Spotify or Apple, make sure you leave a rating and review if you haven't already. It really helps the podcast out. I appreciate you guys so much. Vanessa, thank you so much.
I'm so happy you had me.
Yes, we're going to do this again for sure.
We will.
Yeah. But tell the people where they can find you on socials.
Okay, amazing. So you can find me on Instagram at my personal account at Vanessa.ContrerasTV. You can also follow my business page at sonecessary.creative. Yeah. Necessary spelled like Vanessa, Nessasary.
We'll link it. We'll put it in the show notes.
It's all in the notes. In the notes.
I got you. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, make sure you guys follow at WristFitKitty, and you guys can follow my dance and fitness page, Real Rhythm Dance Fitness, as well. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.